The first 10 seconds of the 911 call were silent. The operator was already reaching for the button to disconnect when she heard breathing on the line. Slow, uneven breathing, as if the person on the other end was afraid that even a sound might give them away. "I don't know where I am," the woman said quietly. "But he thinks I'm dead." Her voice was weak, hoarse, but controlled. There was no crying, no panic, just effort. "I need time," she added. "Please don't hang up." When police found her 40 minutes later, she was sitting on the side of the road near a mile marker, leaning against a bent traffic sign. Her clothes were soaked in blood. She had a stab wound in her abdomen and several shallow cuts on her arms. She was shivering, staring straight ahead, blinking slowly, as if afraid to close her eyes. Her name was Sarah Miller. She was the first person in 3 years to survive an encounter with the man the media would later call the narrator. Before Sarah, there were only bodies. The first victim was discovered just after sunrise. A jogger found her near a wooded area beside a highway. The woman was lying on her back, arms folded across her chest, almost peacefully. There was no identification. Her phone was gone. The medical examiner noted a single fatal knife wound and something that immediately troubled investigators. There were no signs of a struggle. The second victim appeared 5 months later near an abandoned gas station. Same positioning, same missing phone, same lack of defensive wounds. It was as if she had accepted what was coming. The third victim was found in a locked garage behind a closed-down warehouse. Again, the same pattern. The killer hadn't rushed, he hadn't panicked, he had stayed. What connected the cases wasn't just the method, it was time. The medical examiner estimated that each woman had been alive for hours after first contact with the killer. They hadn't been attacked immediately. They had been held, spoken to, studied. He didn't just kill them, he talked to them. Detectives couldn't understand why none of the victims had tried to escape, why none of them had fought back. The answer would only become clear after Sarah told her story. Sarah never matched the profile. She wasn't from the same area as the other victims. She didn't work in a similar field. She wasn't physically similar to them. She wasn't vulnerable in the way the others seemed to be. The only thing she shared with them was invisible. She listened. The night she disappeared, she had stayed late at work. Her bus never came. It started raining, light at first, then heavier. When a car pulled over beside her, she hesitated only a moment. The driver didn't smile too much, didn't stare, didn't ask personal questions. He made a comment about the weather, complained about traffic, asked where she was headed. For the first 5 minutes, everything felt normal. Then he missed a turn. "You passed it," Sarah said. "I know," he replied calmly. "You just don't know where we're going yet." Her stomach dropped. He didn't speed up. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't lock the doors dramatically. He just kept driving, as if this was still an ordinary conversation. "Are you scared?" he asked. Sarah thought carefully before answering. "A little," she said, "but I don't want to be rude." That was the moment he decided not to kill her immediately. Later, Sarah would understand why. Fear alone bored him. Politeness meant awareness. Awareness meant potential. The place he took her wasn't what she expected. It wasn't filthy or chaotic. It was clean, cold, almost deliberately empty. A basement prepared not for torture, but for observation. A table, 2 chairs, a lamp, a knife placed openly where she could see it. "I don't like screaming," he told her as he untied her hands but left her ankles bound. "It ruins the moment." That was when Sarah understood something crucial. He wasn't there for violence. He was there for control. And control required participation. So she gave it to him. She lowered her eyes. She answered softly. She cried when it seemed appropriate and stayed quiet when silence felt safer. She made herself smaller, less threatening, less interesting. He watched closely. He asked questions that didn't require answers. He talked about childhood memories, about disappointment, about people who never really listened. He spoke about the other women, though he never used their names. "They stopped being interesting," he said at one point. "They broke." Sarah nodded. "What about you?" he asked. "Will you break?" "I don't know," she said honestly. "But I want you to hear me." That was the first time he leaned forward. No one had ever said that to him before. The hours passed slowly. He grew more comfortable. He repeated phrases without realizing it. He always sat to her left. He never fully closed the door. He placed the knife down whenever he felt understood. Sarah memorized everything. She mirrored him carefully. She agreed without validating his actions. She showed empathy without admiration. She let him explain himself, because people who explain eventually reveal weaknesses. He needed something from her. He needed recognition. When he finally decided it was time, there was no anger, no rage, just ritual. He stepped forward and stabbed her once, precisely, confidently. He believed it was enough. He didn't wait. He didn't check. That was his mistake. Sarah lay still until she heard the door close. Then she waited longer. Pain threatened to take her consciousness, but she focused on one thing: staying quiet. She crawled. She bled. She escaped. What Sarah gave police wasn't just a description of a man. She gave them his rhythm, the way he spoke, the phrases he reused, the recordings he kept. They found the workshop weeks later, audio files catalogued carefully, hours of his voice speaking to women who would never speak again. On the recordings, his tone was unmistakable. On the stand, he finally looked at Sarah. "You said you understood me," he whispered. "I said what you needed to hear," she replied calmly, "just like all of them." He was sentenced to life in prison, no interviews, no final statements. Sarah never spoke publicly again. Because in that room, there had been 2 people playing a game, and only one of them learned how to win.